What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 22 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Orion Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Drycha and her Eternal Guard slash Eternal Warden army slash Zod army, I guess, did take Montanos and destroy the remnants of Morgar's forces, although I suppose not so much remnants since he was able to rebuild at least half or more of his army. Anyway, with the fall of Morgar, we are, I guess, done here since we are not going to be worried about him coming at us. I wonder, is Sartosa a special outpost? I imagine Skavenblight should be, so we're gonna head down here. In fact, we may as well go down here right now, because we're wasting our time here. Go to Skavenblight. You're going to take Skavenblight, aren't you? Okay, if this guy actually tries to take Skavenblight, then we'll just kill him. Although, he won't be able to reach it, but anyway. Recruiter Shamasal, what I should have done actually is I should have traded your troops to Drycha, so we'll go right beside him here. And we'll trade it for the higher ranked units. But anyway, we'll deal with that. Next up, Orion. Now, we did unlock Ariel last episode as the first of our rituals did complete, but I think we can't put Ariel into Orion's army yet because it would take away his movement range, and right now he can knock out these little garbage stacks, and we certainly don't want them here while Qu'ittax is relatively undefended. So, Orion, you're going to hit Gulator. And what do we have? Oh, okay, this is obviously not worth fighting. Not worth your time. Auto-resolve, let's see about the damage. A little bit of damage on our spell slinger, what can you do? I guess we could heal up. Heal up. It also gives us a little bit of magic or mana, or wins magic, so that's worth our time. Go into full speed stance, go for this Remnants of Battle, which Remnants means there is no battle to be had. Just rewards, and we'll take Arabian Arms, which gives us, hello, Spirit Sword, magical attacks and armor piercing weapon damage, well, I like it, as well as ensorcelled blades. Sure thing. Go here. Next, I suppose we have to choose. Do we delete one of the Wild Riders and put Ariel in the army? Oh. Wait, what? Ariel, go out of the port, can you? Yeah, you can reach Orion. I mean, we might as well. We can recruit Wild Riders at rank 5, so losing one at rank 6 isn't a horrible thing. A shame to lose a Wild Rider, but nonetheless. Also, it does make sense since Wild Riders are Orion's troops and Sisters of the Thorn are Ariel's troops to have both of them in the army. And I do like the Hawks in here. They make the army a little bit different than what it would be. I mean, yeah, we could replace them with Stag Knights, and I don't know, I'll think about it. Then it'll be an all-stag army minus Ariel. But Ariel does have wings, being in her war form, which is all butterfly-like. Which kind of works with the Hawks? I don't know. Ultimately, it probably doesn't matter over much, let's face it. Also, a Kirin you've leveled up. Let's get you Retinue Valet. We certainly want more items to be found. Alright, I think another Tech Thieves needs to level, but she's probably saving her points until rank 10. Anyway, Durthu, you're up next, I believe, and you were supposed to head towards Kugath, so to head towards him you shall. Go out to sea and then hit him like this. We could use Nath to reinforce. Just to leech XP, or we could, well, you know what, the hunt is on is probably ending rather soon, so we're probably better off just heading back. He will be needed to recruit more stuff, and oh, you should be recruiting Great Stag Knights. We can't afford it, but that's all of our cash. Literally all of our cash. But what can you do? Durthu, looks like you're gonna have a fun time here fighting Kugath. Valiant defeat. Lots and lots of buzzing rotflies to annoy us, but I don't imagine they'll be too threatening to our various Treekin. Yo. Alright, here we go into the fray once more with Durthu to take the Dragon Isles, and this time Kugath itself stands against us. Now, there is something I either didn't remember or possibly didn't know about Kugath. Our healing cap is at nothing, in that whatever Kugath does, whatever ability he has, it reduces our healing cap by 100%, meaning we cannot heal at all. This is very, very bad, because this army is kind of reliant on being in a blob that is difficult to bring down. So that means this battle is going to be difficult. Durthu himself will move forward, and as you can see, his healing cap will move down with his HP, which ain't so great. So Durthu, we're actually going to have to be fairly careful with both you and our blob of units. It'll be a matter of, can our HP without healing out or hold out while we do sufficient damage to bring down the enemy army. All the while Kugath fires away at us and pops those sort of ground damaging abilities on us as well. Durthu takes the charge of the vast majority of the enemy units, which is probably appropriate, though he is starting to take damage and has now lost about a quarter of his HP, especially with the Exalted Plague Bearers having focused him down. The enemy Rotflies slash Kiddos are Plague Drones and Rotflies, actually. I guess Plague Drones are Plague Bearers on Rotflies, so they're all Rotflies, whatever. They've all come down, buzz their way into the center of our formation. Probably not the most effective thing to do, especially with the Shield of Thorns and Visen's Wild Form up and running. Man, imagine being like on the ground, like a basic unit in the midst of all of this. Like this would be your view, obviously, as one of the branch wraiths, for example, who is in here from somewhere. Which I can't tell what the heck is going on. Yeah, actually, it's a pretty cool view. I should try to do this a little bit more often. And there we go. We see some of the Forsaken and down here as well. Treekin towering over them. Even if the Treekin aren't that big, but Durthu towering over everything. How the heck did I lose Durthu? He's in here somewhere. There he is. He is backed off and he's hunting down those Rotflies and Plague Drones. Our Dryads have obviously been hanging back for two reasons. One, we can't do anything about the enemy tower. Two, we can't do anything about Kugath. And three, we can't really do much about that sort of area of effect damage ability that the enemy has. Oh, look at the frolicking Bubonikers hanging around. Though we probably won't appreciate that lethal poison on them. Anyway, back into the fray. And the very sort of hectic way this battle looks from the ground. All of these miasmas from the enemy and the sort of counteracting spells of Gyran supporting us. Speaking of supporting spells, a Penumbral Pendulum moves through the enemy line. Not going to do a lot of damage as the enemy has too many big ol' units that are not going to be particularly susceptible to it. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And then a little bit of damage is better than nothing, and we're certainly gonna need it. Our army has lost about a quarter to a third of its HP, depending on the unit, and that does include Durthu. And of course, we are blobbed up, so Kugath has been taking shots into the middle of our formation the entire time, and has racked up a solid 13k damage without expending more than half of his ammunition, at least so far. It's, by the looks of it, this battle might be actually fairly close. We'll see. Kugath in the middle of the enemy formation. I believe this is a summoned Plague Bearer due to the... let me just see here. Yeah, summoned Plague Bearer due to the Gate of Nurgle being opened up by the Cultist here. And technically speaking, we could wait it out, but, well, if it also targets Durthu, it's probably still better than it's targeting anything else. Durthu's down to about half HP now. There's that area of effect damage activation, and ooh, by the looks of it, it's going to clip our Dryads, which is not so great. Our army is down to about half HP now. And you can see the Firebark Elders here are actually below half HP and are continuing to drop, and we may want to back them out sooner rather than later, unless they start losing too many units. So far, I don't believe we have actually lost any units, but, well, the enemy still has units coming at us, and Kugath is still firing, and our HP is still dropping. The constant sort of upkeep, or the uptime on the Shield of Thorns is what's keeping us alive here, both in the missile resistance that it is offering, as well as the damage reflection, preventing us from taking nearly as much from the enemy. Alright, and I believe the two of the units of Dryads got fairly decently beat up, and we will back them out. I believe 2 more units of Dryads have joined us, and we will have to back them up as well. Firebark Elders are, well, we're attempting to move them out of the fray now, as well as this unit of Treekin, the Terrible Timber, which are down to about a third of their HP, though they have done a solid 13k damage. And remember, the Treekin are line-holding units, so you can't expect them to dish out ludicrous amounts of damage like a unit of Blade Singers might. But they're doing their job as holding the ground, despite being overwhelmed and constantly under fire from both Kugath and the enemy tower, or towers. Drycha in the middle of the formation, walking around, still at about half HP, and I guess backing him into the center of the formation helped out, both preventing him from taking additional damage or too much damage. Ooh, Dryad's in very bad shape back here, and it also allows him to repeatedly cast his Sword of Death in the center of the enemy, and thus affect every single unit essentially, which probably gives Drycha many a kill and many damage value. 201 kills and 113,000 damage. Bounce power is at about 80% in our favor now. Enemy is still fighting. A few of the mortal units may rally after routing, including those Bile Trolls. Kugath still has bloody ammunition available to him. And by the looks of it, we may have to back off a few more of those Treekin unless they suffer additional damage, like we did with these Treekin and those Dryads. That said, Kugath is now definitely starting to run out of units. And soon we'll actually be able to move towards Kugath himself, or at least that's the plan. Alright, and it looks like Drycha takes a hit directly to the face from Kugath's attacks. Below half HP now, but by the looks of it, the enemy has lost the critical mass of units needed to probably win this battle, even with the various units of Treekin very much low in HP. Moonspring Sentinels are down to about maybe 35% of their HP, Neighbor's Angry Hedges and down there as well, but it looks like Kugath's army is now beginning to melt. Pop another Vissen's Wild Form. And once again, when you have a Death Star made up of these very, very difficult to bring down units with the constant, well, usually Earthbloods, but here this in Wild Forms and Shields of Thorns, even without the ability to heal, we are still going to be very difficult to bring down. Alright, most of the enemy army has now melted away. We don't really need to give chase, but we do need to try to break through these barricades so that Drycha can finally hit Kugath. Of course, Kugath is melting away, but we do want Drycha to swing the Sword of Death at him. And here we go. Kugath sits alone, I should say. Well, actually, is he ever alone? There's Nurglings living inside him, and they're holding up his throne, and we've got plenty of Nurglings. Huh. Are these Nurglings supposed to be dead? Wait, well, they'd be banished if they were... Huh, because you can see the ones in the little cage can move sometimes. These ones never do they? And neither do these ones. But wouldn't they be banished if they were no longer? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, Kugath down to about half HP now. His regeneration allowing him to hold on the battlefield much longer than all the other demonic units that melted away. But by himself, he's not going to outdamage Drycha most likely, especially with Drycha powering himself up with that Vissen's Wild Form and giving him additional damage. Plus, of course, Kugath is still melting away, getting hit with that Sword of Death now as well. And will at last go down. And his little Nurglings will disappear and then get crushed by the weight of the throne. Lovely. Heroic victory for us, and that does make sense as well. We took plenty of damage, but I'm not sure that we lost Treekin units, or if we did, it's probably relatively minimal. One of the units of Dryads did take a lot of damage, though, but, well, let's find out how well we recover. Ooh, a Pyrrhic victory, and very, very close there. Yes, we did heal to full, but almost all of our Treekin were down to like a third or a quarter of their HP, and even Durthu as well. That reduction of healing cap, or negativing healing cap, meaning we can't heal our army at all, is a very solid counter to this type of army, and makes me 100% certain that we absolutely do need to wipe Kugath out so that he can't do that to us again. In terms of the Treekin's damage, at 18k, it looks like the Moonspring, no, Moonspring Sentinels second place, first place Neighbors Angry Hedges, the rest... Yeah, alright, so those guys were the ones that did the best, and in third place there are the Iron Thorn Reavers, so well done to all of you. Well done to Durthu with his 130k damage and 240 kills as well, of course. 10k to raise it. I am tempted, but I think we're gonna keep the place. Although 10k, will it ever pay us more than it would cost to... 10k. Do we need this province? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but we're gonna take it. Chance of plague spreading our faction wide, that's fine. Probably this place won't pay for itself, but we'll give it a shot. I wonder how much it'll be worth if we get the Sea Dragon's Teeth. Gemstone sacks, a little bit of money. All the ports are generating 100 currently, but they'll be generating a lot more once we have Mathlan, Lord of the Deeps, up and running. So there's potential for that as well. All right. Man, Dreadrock's probably going to be worth even more to raise. In fact, if it's worth sufficient amounts to raise, it'll probably be worth it to raise it and then recolonize it. It costs us 8k to colonize with Durthu's army, so if it's more than that, we can raise it and recolonize. Anyway, Loren, I believe you're up next. You're going to ignore these two camps here, and you're going to go straight to Argalis to wipe out the last of these settlements. Next up, we've got Daith, who I believe was heading towards Karakate Peaks, and will still continue to do so. Is Wurzag back up and running with a full stack? Indeed he is. Wonder if he can attack us here. We'll give him a shot. You're gonna build a Wood Elf battering ram and as many Really? Why can you only build one? You'll have to take multiple turns to do this. That's a little bit annoying, but who knows? Maybe they'll attack us together, in which case, well, that'll work in our favor. Alright. Wait there, build what you need to build. Eskura and the War Dancers and Blade Singers. What do we have here? Looks like a solid battle. Eskura, I'm happy that you found this. Go. Alrighty, and Pyrrhic Victory, eh? Plus they've got a defensive garrison, or the defensive structure, rather. That's nice. Electric Count of Nordland. I sincerely doubt that. Can't even see Nordland. And this guy's the Electric Count of Vissenland. No, you're not. What are you talking about?
For the Empire.
I
am Prince and Emperor.
Wait, he's got all the Electric Counts and these guys have none? Oh, Vlad. Oh, we gave these guys Steingard a while ago, too. Well, either way, not super important. We will need to send somebody to deal with Vlad, I guess. Well, either way. Well, they're gonna be Electric Count of nothing because they'll be dead. Go. Alrighty, here we go. The Loic army. I keep thinking Kegarak, but yeah, Loic army. The renaming. Loic probably predates Kegarak, I would imagine. I don't remember which character was created first, or when the Elven and 40k pantheons were set up. But anyway, I digress. We moving forward. The single shadow dancer that we have in the lead, who, by the looks of it, has an Azure spear and a sword as well. Makes sense considering she's leading both of the units of, well, both types of war dancers, and of course the blade singers in there as well. We have have our Eagles up above, led by our named Captain Dor here, who are going to destroy that piercing tower. Our Lord here, Skura's hanging back and probably going to try to periodically cast those chill winds upon the enemy, and we're waiting a little bit to get the Azrai War Dancers with spears into the fray as well. Why wait? Because the Blade Singers and the Twin Blade War Dancers need to cut their way through the massive piles of infantry, and they're just going to be a little bit better at it than the War Dancers are, who would, or the War Spears are, who might get in the way a little bit. Or if not in the way, slow us down. We need to open a breach into the enemy settlement, as obviously the enemy has a lot of defending infantry, and once the breach is open, we can make our way in. Anyway, there was a unit of gunners or some kind of range unit hanging around up on this platform, and the Eagles took issue with that, destroying the unit, or at least sending it fleeing, and then moving on to attacking the Flagellants. Flagellants actually a decent unit to... I mean, counter may not quite be the right word, but specifically not against the Eagles, but against the War Dancers, a decent unit to use because it keeps them in place. A lot of the other infantry units are just going to rout as they won't survive contact. I mean, look at that. It's like walking into a blender. They won't survive contact with the fast-killing units of War Dancers / Blade Singers. But because the Flagellants are willing to fight to the last man, they can keep our units locked in place all that much longer, which is good for them. The enemy is able to do a little bit of damage by firing mortars upon us, and that's gotten sufficiently annoying that we're going to send all the Eagles, led by our Glade Captain, to hunt down and destroy it. Alright, Honestly, I'm kind of starting to like the Eagles in this army. I was originally going to replace them with dragons, but I don't know. I'll think about it. They've grown on me a little bit, and I like the way that they do provide the bleed effect in addition to the other effects that we have from the War Dancers and such. Anyway, it looks like the enemy Warrior Priest has arrived, leading his Doom cultists, the Flagellants, into the fray. Aezrit, our Shadow Dancer, will attempt to take the enemy on, though this is probably not a... this is probably a very dangerous place for the Warrior Priest to be. We're going to pop a Shield of Thorns on our pile of units from our Branch Wraith, who is going to lead the War Dancers with Azrai Spears into the fray on the flanks here. Maybe should have kept a few of the Spearmen around for attacking the enemy Lord who is on a mount, but I suppose the units of... the units of Blade Singers do so much damage, it probably doesn't really matter, at least against a single entity. If it was a pile of knights, then it might have been a better idea. But anyway. Alright, our Branch Wraith leading the fray here and doing very decent work. Surprising amount of splash damage on her as well. Yeah, knocking plenty of them around. Alright, and we'll obviously separate a few of our units so that it's not just the War Dancers or the Azrai Spears working without the Blade Singers and the others. Anyway, looks like there's an Empire Captain in there. I do believe that our Shadow Dancer has already killed off the enemy Lord, and the Eagles have brought down the enemy units of mortars so that we don't have to worry about mortar fire in the middle of our formation anymore. And there we go. Once again, the blender that is this army will, well, blend the enemy. If you ever asked, if you ever wondered, will it blend regarding Flagellants? Yes, they will. Anyway, with the right flank essentially destroyed, we can move on to the left flank, though it looks like most of the enemy infantry over on the left flank have been obliterated as well. Any units that were hiding behind these barricades, which we are not bothering with, have been by and large taken care of. The Eagles, led by our Glade Captain, though unfortunately it looks like this unit of Eagles did get stuck. Unfortunately, it's sort of been an issue ever since flying units were introduced. They have a tendency to get stuck on things. Probably a limitation to the engine, and there isn't likely all that much I can do about it. I mean, they've tried to solve it to some degree. If you remember when Total Warhammer 3 just came out, where big old flyers like Skarbrand and Kairos and such just couldn't land, and they'd sort of like hover above the ground or above a unit and just not do anything for ages. But they did fix that, so good for them. Anyway, back into the fray once more, and we'll cut through these poor crossbows very, very quickly. We could probably just even ignore the crossbows and the archers if we wanted to, but we may as well kill them all off. Besides, there's an arch-elector in here as well. Huh, wait, I thought the arch-elector died. Is this the same one or a different? No, it's a different one. It's a different one. I think that was a warrior priest, because this arch-elector is on foot and not in the mount. Though I do still think that mounted lords, when reaching a certain HP threshold, their mount should die. And ooh, maybe bigger mounts like dragons and stuff have to be, I don't know, can get wounded and have to take time to convalesce. I actually think that would be really nice. It would also make certain lords not as obnoxiously powerful. But it would also mean that when you were to lose your mount, and your mount, you know, is wounded for like 5 turns or whatever, then that would mean that all the infantry animations of a lot of lords wouldn't be going to waste either, which I really like the idea of as well. CA, please be listening. Anyway, the eagles have touched down over in the background, mostly to try to annoy the enemy pistoliers to prevent them from supporting our units. And obviously, while I think the war dancers with Azrae spears, because of their faster running capability, can catch the pistoliers, might as well just obliterate them with the eagles. Besides, we've still got infantry to cut our way through, though we've blended most of this enemy settlement already. It's a very, very bad type of army to stop our particular type of army. We're essentially a counter to this type of army here. And it's going reasonably well. Anyway, Gotrek and not Felix, but some guy named Jimothy and Gotrek are holding on, but it looks like, though it was a valiant effort, the Blade Singers will bring Jimmy down, and Gotrek will follow suit. Another healing activation from him. He's probably got that death blow running, but he just can't beat so many Blade Singers. That's too much, even for the mighty Slayer. I'm sure he did manage to kill off at least a few. Yeah, it looks like this unit of Blade Singers lost 2 units, 18 out of 20. Well, good job to Gotrek for it. Well done. Obviously an impressive thing, though Loek might not be super happy about it. But on the other hand, he might find it funny. Nice chill wind coming down from Iskura, our dark sorceress, or spellweaver rather. We do need to level her up a little bit so that we can get Blade Storm. Frankly, Blade Storm would have been fantastic in this battle. We didn't need it, and frankly, I really enjoy watching this army fight, so I probably wouldn't have even used it. But in other battles, it could certainly come in handy. Anyway, with that, the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. Eagle and War Dancer and Blade Singer alike will give chase to whatever enemies we can, specifically the enemies that might belong to the army that was waiting outside the settlement. And of course, we've got the little unit of flagellants, which will fight to the death, and they will be destroyed. Alright, we got a little bit of chasing to do. Our Shadow Dancer, knocking out a few of the enemies. Obviously, we don't need to watch his kills. Let's just Shadow Dance get 1 kill. Oh, lovely. Absolutely lovely. Alright, that's a high note to end this particular battle on. Oh, well done to this army. Alrighty, very, very nice. The Shadow Dancers have proven to be a pretty perfect army for fighting Imperials with their relatively low armored troops and high numbers, which they just cut right through. 21k and 21k looks like the Blade Sing. Oh, 26k on one of the War Dancers. Very nice. Very nice. And that's the Twin Blade War Dancers as well. The Eagles did more damage, but they chased more, and they also had that bleed effect on them. But yeah, Eagles never cease to impress, or never fail to impress. Also got a solid amount of cash for our trouble, and we will occupy the Heathland. Nice. Alright, you're gonna back away, but that's just fine, and this heathland will be the last that we need in this particular location. Alright, ally mission successful as well. Go for that foraging groves, and we still do have other territories nearby to take as we continue to annoy these guys. Looks like the Bordello Errant are not too fond of what we're doing here, but, well, I suppose that's their problem. We can't really leave the Hunts Marshal's expedition around, because if we do, they will continue annoying Tehanoan, and I'm not sure I like that very much. Although Tehanoan has done well for himself. He seems to have destroyed the Lord's Scroll / Clan Pestilence and moved up all the way here, destroying most of Rakarth's stuff, and I think just recently he might have taken out Rakarth's main stack as well, though he seems to have moved back to recover. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Zoltathios doesn't need to move. Azerit, you have to sit here pretty much forever guarding this place. Not much we can do about that. Dulcith. We do need to get somebody to Shrine of Cain as well, but we'll wait for now. We got bigger fish to fry, namely the new rituals. Now, Drycha, we do need you to start doing things. Now that your army is complete, I guess you can start the day by taking out Eshin, though we can reach it. But we don't have immunity to attrition of the vampiric variety as yet. We will once we get this. Nobbler Outpost. That'll be in 3 turns? 3 turns. I mean, I suppose we could get your little debut battle against... What is this? Is this even worth fighting? I mean, there's some stuff there. Might as well. Might as well fight it just to give Drycha a debut. I suppose what we could do is we could also temporarily take Eshin as a forest territory and then abandon it later. And just so that we don't have to hold it. Yeah, alright. Drycha debut with COEDDIL and all those branch rates. We could certainly use the levels as well, and I'm excited to see those malevolent dryads with bows in action. Go. Alright, Drycha, my beloved, is at last on the field, leading the Wraiths of the Frozen Heart into the fray. And this is the first time I've seen the Dryads with bows, so we'll see how effective they are. And by the looks of it, if nothing else, they do look pretty neat. I do wish that their bows were a little bit more, I don't know, like gnarled. The bows look like Azray bows. They don't look like a weapon that would be likely to be wielded by the Dryads. But anyway, Malevolent Dryads have always looked very, very cool, and the bow variant are no exception. In addition to that, we have COEDDIL, who has the coolest color scheme of the well, the entire faction, in my opinion. I love these sort of Durthu-like orange colors mixed with the malevolent purple as well. COEDDIL, the maddened ancient, moving into the fray as quick as he can, which ain't that quick to be honest, but well, it'll allow the Dryads to get in a little bit of action. And we don't have Vanguard deployment on COEDDIL or on the Treeman, but I do believe that there is a late game tech that will give our entire faction a Vanguard deployment, which will be kind of silly, but anyway. Alrighty, branch rates leading the fray against the enemy doggos and the skeletons, pincushioning at least a few of the enemy units with our arrows, and it looks like COEDDIL has made his way into the fray as well. Arrows are coming down on the enemy Graveguard, while COEDDIL has moved to intercept the enemy bats, which have decided to attack our units of Malevolent Dryads with bows. They do have decent weapon strength at 51, in fact very solid weapon strength. Their weapon strength in melee is actually higher than their missile weapon strength, or missile strength, though their melee defense is sufficiently low that you still probably don't want to put them into melee, and they have considerably lower HP than the melee variant does. COEDDIL looking absolutely fantastic as he stomps down on these bats. They're just a nuisance to him, and he will just march his way through them. I love the way his claws look, too. There we go. I mean, don't get me wrong, Durthu's got some nice claws as well, but whoever's COEDDIL's nail tech did a great job. But speaking of COEDDIL, he will march through into the darkness of this wood, not to go after the pathetic little skeletons and graveguard that stand against him, but to hit the enemy lord a few times. And the enemy lord will begin melting away pretty much instantly. And I mean, that's that's a scary sight, towering above you. Oh, we're getting some amazing shots in this in this particular episode, aren't we? Oh, I love it. I'm having so much fun, guys. Alright, anyway. Looks like the enemies... this is also a fantastic shot. This is really doing it for me. I just wanted you guys to know that. And I can't even speak. The dryads with the sort of fog/mist that's happening also made them look really, really cool. Damn. Anyway, you gotta love all the cool shots you can get in this game. Absolutely love it. Anyway, Drycha, unlike COEDDIL, is still fighting in the light. It doesn't make sense since COEDDIL isn't even supposed to really have a physical form, more like an angry, walking shadow. But kind of makes sense for him to be in the more forested area, while the rest of the enemy army melts away. Frankly, as soon as COEDDIL basically three-shot the enemy lord, I think the enemy army should have known that they were doomed. We did take... Ooh, and it looks like some Cairn Wraiths have moved in to attempt to chase down our units of Malevolent Dryads with bows, with a little bit of help from those direwolves. We do mob the enemy Cairn Wraiths with our Dryads, but they did manage to dish out decent damage to the bows. So good job to them. Probably should have been paying attention to them, but I will admit it, I was too busy watching COEDDIL fight, even while controlling the battle, even while knowing that that I'll be seeing it again when I did the replay commentary. It's a habit. It's a bad habit. Anyway, the Dryads were all working by themselves while COEDDIL and his two, well, sort of bodyguard Malevolent Treemen continued to fight by themselves in the pile of trees here, but it's not like they needed any help. And the Dryads have returned to sort of gather up and destroy the remnants of whatever else is here. Skeletons drop. And with that, the battle will be ours. Very much a decisive victory. No, it was never going to be a difficult fight, but damn, was it a heck of a debut. And I'm so glad, considering we got those shots, that we actually fought this one rather than auto-resolving. Alrighty, nice little debut fight for Drycha there. We've got massive amounts of damage off of COEDDIL, who beat the Strigoi Ghoul King to death with the help of one of the other two Malevolent Treemen. The damage that we suffered was more or less confined to the Malevolent Dryads with bows, who admittedly are quite fragile in melee because they're range units, and thus took a bit of damage from various direwolves and Cairn Wraiths. Nonetheless, a nice fight. We're gonna seed the place. Yeah, even raising it's not worth it, we'll just abandon it after. Seeded, heal here, and if the enemy wants to attack us based on this, and it does have various armies around, we will certainly give them time to fight. Hawk Companion for Dada, no thank you, don't need that. I think, Drycha's heroes don't have Forest Spirits as yet, and they damn well do need them. Fortunately, we need more Forest Spirits. We just don't have capacity, especially since Drycha's is one of the newer armies that we have, so hardly surprising. Alright, well, we'll deal with that as we go. Ooh, everybody leveled up as well. I will probably deal with it between the episodes, though. Especially since it's not anything interesting now. Anybody else need to move? I'd love to end the turn, though we are effectively out of time. Just double checking. Orliaroth, you are waiting to be replaced by Akka. I suppose what we could do with you is we could move you right to the edge here, to the Temple of Adea.
Weaving a path.
right beside this forest encounter, so that when Akka replaces you, he can move right in there and then get ready to go elsewhere. I mean, I suppose we could send him down to fight the Cult of Pleasure. That would allow us to move Azeroth out to perhaps the Shrine of Cain. Something like that. Anyway, anybody else this turn? I don't believe it. So, skip, and turn. Summon Besiege Caracate Peaks. Oh, right. Let's see if they sally out. We don't have enough time, unfortunately, to fight them this episode if they do, but nonetheless, it might be fun if they do. You want us to join War Against Goldtooth? I don't see the point right now. Especially since Dirthu wants to go to the next ritual, which will be at Athel Loren, which will be available this very turn. And we'll be at 2 out of 8. Getting there. And, oh, they will indeed sally out. Well, I am very happy with that, but unfortunately we can't fight it as we'll have to wait until the start of next episode. So, we'll save this for a next step, including all those Orc Biggins and Black Orcs, which should be pretty darn fun to fight. So, we have a guaranteed great battle up ahead. So stay tuned for more. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.